Well, good morning, everyone. I certainly see some smiling faces out there and pleasantly surprised to see a number of students who appear to be with us this morning, which is great. My name's Andy, by the way, and we'll get started in just a few minutes, but certainly wanted to let you know that we're glad you're here.
Half of the people don't even have them on.
Here, on air phone. Thank you, babe.
Yeah.
What? Okay, how do I turn my camera?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. What is your problem, girl?
Good morning.
Good morning.
We will get started in just about a minute, but if you would do us a favor, and by the way, I'm Andy Jenks, and we are so glad that you are here early, but if you are able to locate the mute button on your microphone, that will help cut down on some of the miscellaneous noises that we all have going on in our homes and offices. That would be so helpful. I'm really enthusiastic about the crowd that we have so far. It looks like at least 90 folks who are in the room, and that's great. We'll get started in just about a minute.
All right, when?
Yeah.
Hi. I can't hear you.
No, you're not supposed to have it.
Okay.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, good morning, everyone. It is 10 o'clock on Thursday, September 3rd, just a few days before the start of school on Tuesday, September 8th. I'm Andy Jenks. I'm with the Communications and Community Engagement team. And if you are here, you are in the first of 3 sessions today on what we're calling HCPS Help Chats, sessions and videos that are designed to help people be prepared in the run-up to the first day of school on Tuesday, September 8th. We'll go through a couple of housekeeping notes and some other important information in just a second, but I did want to say welcome in, and we're glad that you've set aside part of your Thursday to spend some time with us. Just a couple of notes to make this a pleasant experience for all involved. If you have not yet located the mute button on your Microsoft Teams screen, you can generally find it by moving your cursor or tapping on the screen on a mobile device and hitting the microphone icon in order to mute your microphone. That'll allow all of us to hear one another very clearly. But I also wanted to point out that we want to dedicate the majority of our time together this morning to your questions and interacting with you and a discussion to help everyone get their questions answered and to be pointed in the right direction. We're not going to replicate the entire video series that we first debuted back on Monday. I'll share my screen for just a moment and want to point you in the direction of the HCPS Help Chat video series that we did. If you're looking for it, I'm going to point out one particular web page. You should be able to see it. It's henricoschools.us/return to school. And if you go to henricoschools.us /return to school. There's a blue box on the left side. It's called HCPS Help Chats. And clicking on that is going to take you to a YouTube playlist where we go through all 6 topics, whether it's our virtual learning resources, creating a PowerSchool account, what PowerSchool does, how to get started with the devices, Clever and Schoology, and creating your Schoology parent account, and then ultimately how to navigate Microsoft Teams. So if you are able to view those videos, that is fantastic.
It's okay. I know what I'm doing.
But we are not going to go through all of those steps from start to finish here today. We invite you to watch those anytime at your convenience. This is really about interacting with you and answering any more specific questions. And to be fair, or to be sure, we want to spend the most of our time helping folks who are using Schoology or PowerSchool or Microsoft Teams for the very first time. We don't expect to be getting into all the nuances and details about virtual learning and decision making and in-person instruction and ultimately returning to school. Those are different conversations for a different day. This is really about helping you with those virtual learning tools that will allow all of us to be successful. With that in mind, we have some special guests, some panelists with us this morning. I just want to let them chime in and say hello. John Grigori is with our Teaching, Learning, and Innovation team. John, say hello to the folks, would you?
Yes. Good morning, Andy. Thanks for the opportunity. Great to see so many people jumping in.
And Melanie German is with our technology team. Melanie, say hello to the fine folks out there.
Good morning, everyone. I'm really excited to be here this morning and I can't wait to answer all of your questions.
And Margaret Dalton is also joining us from the technology team. Margaret, say hello.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see everybody here. Excited to talk to everybody.
Excellent. John, I want to spend just another minute with you. We've spoken about locating the mute button on the microphone, and that's what's going to help us minimize some of the feedback and some of the echoing sound effects and other noises that we've got going on. But there's more to Microsoft Teams than just the mute button. There are a few things that we'll be using this morning, like a chat feature. John, why don't you just help everyone understand where we might locate some of those features?
Yeah, thanks, Andy. I think it's important just to start off with. This is an example, and we're all learning on the fly here with Microsoft Teams. So let's talk quickly about some of the buttons that are in front of everybody so we can help make this meeting go smoothly. So Andy did mention there's a microphone icon. It's either in the center of your screen or maybe at the top, depending on the device you're using. And when you click on that microphone and it has a slash through it, that means you're muted. And we'd appreciate it if everybody mutes so that the speaker can speak and we can hear the questions. Beside that, there is a little camera icon. It's sort of like a rectangle with a triangle next to it that's meant to replicate a camera. And you can turn that camera off. And that might help with your bandwidth if you're getting kind of a slow response here. Beside those icons, you would look for a little chat box icon. It's sort of a rectangle with some lines in it meant to simulate like a texting chat icon. When you click on that, it turns on the chat on the right side of your screen, and you can follow along as we add links and messages, and you could even add a comment if you like, and then it'll go into the chat, and we have monitors watching the chat, and they'll bring up questions if you put them there. The last feature we wanted to talk about is there's that little hand icon. Mine, it's a white outlined hand. And when you click on that, it fills in the hand. That means we see that you've raised your hand and we can work on going and addressing you and letting you ask your question. We're going to do the best we can to get as many questions as possible. So we talked about muting. That's the microphone icon. You can turn on and off your camera, but I'd recommend turning your camera off to help you with your bandwidth. You can check out the chat by clicking the little chat icon, and you can raise and lower your hand using the hand icon. Finally, we don't want you to do this now, but when we go to end the meeting, that's where you would click leave and you would hang up. So hopefully that's a good overview, Andy, and back to you.
That works well. Yes, we don't need anyone to leave just yet. It looks like at this point we have more than 200 folks who are joining in the meeting, and that's tremendous because we really want to do as thorough a job as we can to help folks out. So at this point, I think it's a good idea if there are questions out there and somebody wants to go first, use the icon that allows you to raise your hand or enter into the chat that you have a question, like John mentioned. We have some folks who are monitoring the chat and are going to start putting folks in order so I can call out some names and we can begin our conversation. And I think I'm going to start with, is it Desney Lowry? Desney, did I get your name right?
Yes, you did.
What can we help you with, Destiny?
I'm curious in understanding that once I've created my Schoology account, will I be able to see the exact same thing that my child sees in his account?
And for Schoology, John, that sounds like it might be up your alley. So why don't you help us understand what a parent Schoology account will see as opposed to the student's Schoology account?
Yeah, and I think this is an awesome question. Great one to start off with. And thanks, Andy, for letting me field this one. I'm going to give you just some general information, but when a parent signs up for their own personal Schoology account and then they get the student code from PowerSchool, that then links the two accounts. So your parent account is independent and it's for a parent or guardian. We link to one or more students, depending on how many students you have, and you can view their courses independently of your other students. So you sort of select one at a time. And this is an important distinction and safety and security feature, and why we encourage parents to go this route, because you do see 99% of what your student sees, with the exception of the other students' names, the courses are redacted so that a parent doesn't see, let's say, a discussion, the name of who posted that discussion in the course. The teacher can see that, and their fellow classmates can see that when they're logged into their accounts. But a parent account allows you to sort of look over the shoulder of your student's work, but some information is redacted for the purposes of complying with some of the regulations that we have to comply to as a school system, like FERPA. So you're going to see pretty much everything, when they have assignments due, when tests are coming up, their calendar, and even the assignments that they have, but you will not see the personally identifying information of the other students in their classes.
Desmi, how do we do there? Did we help you out?
A1, perfect, thank you.
Excellent, off to a good start here. I do want to chime in about Schoology too, because I've been with the school system 8 years, but all three of my kids are all in elementary school. And until this situation, we didn't have a whole lot of need at the elementary school level to get into Schoology. I mean, I knew what it did for work purposes, but I've been really pleasantly surprised what it does as a parent. So if you're new to Schoology and haven't yet set up your account, I would highly encourage you to do so, because for one, it allows you to see some school-based and school district-based communications. I mean, you probably have some experience with getting tons of emails now and in the past week or so. And Schoology, as long as those same messages are put into Schoology, you'll be able to slow them down. It almost looks like a Facebook feed of messages that are important to school. So, for example, you might have gotten an email 3 or 4 days ago, but you deleted it and it's long gone. In Schoology, the emails are always there, and you just kind of scroll down. As long as your school and your school district are putting those messages into Schoology, you'll always have a place to go back and find something that maybe was communicated a week ago that you can refer back to. So I found it super helpful from that perspective. Let's move on now. Kathleen indicated there was a question. Kathleen, you are on the program.
Great, thank you. Can you hear me?
We got you, Kathleen, loud and clear.
Okay, great. I'm logged to my son's computer to prepare for the virtual high school orientation later today. And the Google Chrome icon and all of the other icons for programs that he needs for school are not loading, and the programs obviously aren't loading either. We're logged into our network. We watched a video on the YouTube channel, and we're unable to figure out what to do to make this work.
All right, Kathleen, so I think I heard you correctly. Before we start to answer that, I do want to remind those who are new to always find that mute button so we can hear all of the questions clearly. But Kathleen, if I did hear it clearly, you are using a laptop, and the icons that you expect to be there aren't showing up. One of those would be the Chrome browser icon. Did I hear that correctly?
That is correct, and that's what we were going to use for the orientation, like to get to his email and other things. Teams isn't loading. There's a lot of things that are, Teams is loading. Okay, so just Google Chrome and the other, what else is on there? Microsoft Edge, couple other things are not loading.
Okay. I'll start with Margaret in case that's the right place to go. Margaret, you and I spent some time on video talking about how to get into the devices, and then what would show up once you're into those devices. Does this sound like a question where we could be helpful or start to troubleshoot?
Yeah, I'm thinking right now that the easiest route for a quick turnaround would be to go to one of the repair hubs and get a hot swap to get a newly imaged computer. Then that way he has a fresh profile to log in with, and then everything's there and ready to go.
So this is sounding, at least on the surface, like it's an issue with the device itself, and a swap would be a good option at this moment in time?
I would, yes. Yes.
Okay,
All right.
and where can we find the list of places to go? Is Deep Run High School on the list?
Yes, ma'am. That's
Okay,
one of the
great.
repair hubs.
All right. Thank
And
you.
you would not wait in the device pickup line. The repair hub is, I believe, at the front of the school.
Okay.
But there's,
Thank you
I know there's signs. I was there earlier this week. There are signs everywhere directing where to go help, where to go get help.
Great. Thank you.
All
We'll
right,
go do
excellent. Kathleen, thanks very much for the question. Next on my list, I have Frank. Frank, are you with us, Frank?
Excuse me, Andy.
That's me.
Before you take Frank's call, I am on the chat. However, it won't allow me to put anything in the chat box to communicate with you all. And I don't see myself on there, but I did have a question. My name is Nicole Webb. Could you get to me a little later? I don't want to answer.
I think I know that question.
Nicole, you said your name is?
Yes, Nicole Webb.
All right, you got it, Nicole. We're going to come back to you. Frank, are you still there, Frank? All right, I'm going to move on, but if Frank comes in, we'll catch him up later. Is it Dana Trone? Did I get that name right? Dana, are you with us? And remember, maybe your microphone is on mute, but you'd want to take yourself off mute. Dana, are you available?
Yes, I'm here.
All right.
My question was related to whether or not the Chromebooks allow you to view the gallery view so that children can see their classmates.
And the gallery view you speak of is the one where it looks like everyone's sitting in an auditorium almost. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
I am not immediately familiar with the Chromebooks and whether they allow that feature. I do know that we're experiencing some limitations at the elementary school level with the Chromebooks. Do one of our panelists have experience about the Chromebooks and the gallery feature? Is that one of those ones that doesn't translate to the Chrome browser?
So, Margaret, if you'd like to talk about it, I can quickly highlight that there are two ways in which a student can interact with Microsoft on the Chromebook. One of them being that Microsoft Teams opens in a browser window, which means like just with the internet. And in that case, the students can see one participant at a time. So when one student talks, it'll go to their camera view. And when the teacher talks, it'll go to the teacher. And there also is the ability to pin, so just the teacher shows. But we also have an Android app on the Chromebook that would allow for the grid view when in Teams. So there are two options for students, and one being the browser, which again allows one view, and the Android application that provides the grid view.
Yes, and let me just jump in real quick, John. Thanks very much. We've been working on that, and I have seen a couple people saying that it's not working. It should be functioning now. If you're still having issues with it, I highly recommend that you sign out of the Chromebook, go and remove the person, remove the profile, and then log in again to rebuild a fresh Chrome profile, and then the Teams app will install for you automatically. It takes, in my testing on one of my Chromebooks here, it probably took anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes to finally show up pinned on the taskbar.
Okay, thank you. Is there any way those instructions could be posted somewhere? Because I believe a lot of people are having the same problem.
Yes, ma'am. We can.
That's a good note.
Yes, I
Thank you.
believe it's It's been shared. I'm not sure. I can find out where it's posted. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
I have on my list CD. Does that sound familiar? Is CD available in the audience?
Andy, this is Frank. I'm back when you get a chance.
All right, Frank. Frank, we'll go to you then. Go ahead.
Microsoft Teams. I have it on my computer. I was told last week that any link that my daughter needed, third grader, would show up in Schoology. She has a 10:20 meeting. I don't see a link in Schoology for her to link up with her teacher.
Okay. All right. So Frank, if I understand this situation correctly, you're in the Chromebook. You've gone through Clever and you've been able to get into Schoology already, correct?
Yes. Yes.
So the issue is once you're in Schoology, you're not seeing what you expect to be able to see.
Correct.
All right. So I have two thoughts on that, and John, I might bring you in, but one thought is to communicate directly with your teacher about where that content might actually exist. But John, while we're here in this meeting, is this a matter of clicking on courses at the top of the screen in Schoology, or maybe navigating some of the other tabs in order to find what we're looking for?
Yeah, Andy, that's certainly possible, and thank you, Frank, for the question. I will say that right now our teachers are working within the Schoology courses to prepare materials, and that it just may be the case in this particular situation that the teacher has decided to not put that link and make it available because the teacher would not be in that space. And so if a link was available right now and a student tried to join, they would be perpetually stuck in a waiting room until 10:30 that day of that meeting. So most likely it's that the teacher has just reserved posting that link in Schoology until either right before the class meeting or when they're ready to share that. If it's something other than that, I think Andy's got a great recommendation of just reaching out to the teacher to clarify exactly where that link will be. But it should be posted by the time the class starts and by the first day of school, right within the top area of any Schoology course. So I go into Schoology, I go to courses, I pick a course like homeroom or math or biology, and within that course, I would find that Teams link clearly marked. And again, it just may not be there because we're still a couple days out from any of those meetings being used.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, but Frank, it does sound like you've done everything right up to this point, which is awesome. So that's great. I appreciate that question. All right, I may have lost my place a little bit. Did we hear from, is it Dana or Vanessa that were, CD is who we're going back to, CD. All right, we'll come back. Vanessa, are you here with us?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
My question is whether or not there will be an FAQ for Microsoft Teams, particularly for lower grade learners. What you're describing, like the gallery views available in the browser, the app versus the browser, I find like that's okay for adults, but might be difficult for a second grader. And my child is a second grader. So I'm hopeful that you all will take the feedback you're getting on calls and maybe develop something that would be easy for the smaller kids to reference as they're learning how to engage with Microsoft Teams.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a wonderful idea. Now the second person who's brought that forward. That at this point, we've certainly invested a lot of our time and energy in producing videos and material on our website that will allow. Thank you. Let's make sure we're muting our microphones, everyone. It's so helpful to everyone involved. We've certainly invested a big portion of our time on things that will help families guide their children, but ultimately we're getting to a point where the students can help themselves too, and I think we're hearing some of that loud and clear. We have spoken to Vanessa, so that means John is up next. John, are you with us? John, if you are here, you can unmute and share your question. If not, we're going to go to LC. LC, are you here?
Wait, did you say me?
I said LC. Are those your initials?
LC, yeah. I didn't raise my hand though.
That's my initials also.
Oh, sorry.
That's a fair point. We probably have more than one person with those initials. Is there somebody with the initials LC who would like to ask a question?
Yes, it's me. Can
Go
you
ahead.
hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay. My problem is I'm not able to even get into the Chromebook.
Okay.
When I open it up, it tells me to enter your email. I put in what the teacher told me to put in, and it doesn't let me in. I don't know if it's the wrong. I never even get to username or password.
Okay. Well, this sounds like a question that's up Margaret's alley, and our video series does address some of the steps that you want to take right from square one. And I don't pretend to know exactly what the issue is yet, but let's talk through it a little bit. First, the Chromebook needs to be connected to the internet. I'm going to assume that we've covered that ground. And so you're at the point where you're entering.
It won't even, it's covering up the internet part. That's what I'm saying. It won't even let me get to that part. It's just,
So on this particular device, you can't even connect to the internet. Am I understanding that correctly?
It just says sign in, and it's a big white square, and it just says enter your email. It's
All right.
Google.
Margaret, what's it sound like we've got going on here?
Yep, is there a link that says it's a blue link and it'll say sign on with a different user?
No. It says enter your email, and then it said when I put that in, it says forgot your email, and it encourages me to either you go to the phone or the site Skype.
Oh, okay. It sounds like you're at the next. So when you I'm a visual person, so I'm trying to get this visually in my head.
Okay.
So when you turn on the Chromebook,
yes,
you're connected to the internet. Down at the bottom, the fan is active. You're connected to your Wi-Fi at home, correct?
Evidently, because I never did anything to it.
Well, if you do it does have to be connected to the internet. So make sure on the bottom right that it's a fan and that it is full. Like the icon is not
white.
Okay,
white.
good.
Yeah, it's full.
All right. So then the next window that you should see in the middle of the screen is a white box, and it should have a space to put the username, and then it should say @henricostudents.org at the end. Are you seeing that?
Email. Is that username?
Come here.
You have, well, so the next window that if you put your username in there, and then you get the next prompt, which is a Microsoft prompt, and it says in the blank, it'll say email, Skype, or phone, I believe. That's where you type the entire email address again. So you type HCPS username @henricostudents.org, and then you're going to hit enter. Is that where we're at?
We're at email, phone, or Skype, and I'm typing the same thing over, right?
HCPS username @henricostudents.org. The whole, yes, ma'am, the whole thing.
Okay, and then when I go from there,
and then you should be prompted to put in the password.
Okay.
And then the password is first initial, last name initial, and 5-digit lunch number.
Right. Okay. I don't want to hold you up, so you go ahead. I'm.
Well, no. This is good because everybody else, there might be other people having the problem. So, and then you enter that in, and you click OK, and then another box is going to come up and say, "Do you want to stay signed in?" And you say yes.
Okay.
Ma'am, I was using your initials LC, but it's Catherine, right? I see you on my screen now.
Yeah, what I did, I think I put my first name in. My last name in first.
Oh, that's quite all right. I just wanted to say, Margaret's right. That's the whole object of this exercise, which is to walk people through some things that maybe aren't fully explained on a video in hopes that and we have 180 other people listening in, that this process might actually be relevant to some others as well. So we want to make sure that you are successful. Maybe we come back to you in just a little bit in case we're still getting hung up in a spot. But thanks for spending some time with us. We're glad to be doing this. So Tiffany is next. Tiffany, what is your question?
Look, Mommy, what they got? I do no.
Is that Tiffany by chance? All right, we'll come back to Tiffany. Betty Spencer. Betty, are you still here? And if so, what's your question? Betty, are you there? Remember, when it's time to ask our question, we want to unmute so that we can hear you, but otherwise we'll keep those microphones on mute. One more time for Betty Spencer.
That doesn't look like my teacher. That doesn't look like a girl. Isn't my teacher Mrs. Gramsci?
I'm nobody's teacher, and we should all be thankful for that. Absolutely. All right, I'm going to move over to Melissa Murphy. Melissa, are you here? If you are, unmute yourself and let's hear your question.
Hi, yes, I'm here. Thank you so much. I have a preschooler that's starting school this year, and I tried to do what the link said on here on this tablet, but the email address and everything wouldn't work. So finally, I did go into Power Schools and got his actual login and his lunch number and everything, and tried to log in again on Microsoft Teams and into his other areas on here, and it's not working.
Okay.
The password, the login, the email, nothing is working. Right now I'm on Teams, but I'm on my work computer doing that.
And this is great. We're touching on the iPads now, which are for students in preschool and kindergarten. The first question I'll ask, and then I think we can turn it over to Margaret for some more guidance, is are we sure the iPad's connected to the internet at this point?
Yes, it is.
Got it. All right, Margaret, what might be the issue here?
That I'll have to actually research, and because
speak, turn off phone.
I do know from my personal experience when I tested it on one of the iPads is I had to double click the home button and close so if you double click the home button, it'll bring up everything that you have open, and you want to quit the app, so you slide it up to quit out of the app. And so my recommendation would be to double click the home button and close any apps that might be open and go back and start fresh. When I did that on the test iPad I was able to log in as one of my test students in Teams.
Okay, I'll try that, and then I'll come back if I have any issues.
Okay.
That sounds great.
Thank you.
Is it Devon or Davon? Do I have that name pronounced correctly? You're up next on the program.
Yes, sir. My name is Devin.
Devin.
All right. So, real quick, I have a kindergartner and a new student to Henrico County in the 7th grade. So on Schoology, I've got both of them logged in through Clever. One on a Dell and one on an iPad. But both of them says once I log in, it says that the site can't authenticate the state of the site where I'm at. So it just says no authentication, or it's invalid. From what I read when I was signing it up, it said it had to be a separate email. So I put in one of my daughter's emails and then use mine for the kindergartner. And it just goes to a blank site. I can't see anything on Schoology from their devices. Now on my regular desktop, I can access my 7th graders, but haven't been able to get into the kindergartner.
Okay. Which of our panelists sounds like they've got a solution to this particular issue?
I'll take a shot at it.
Thank you, John.
All right. So, in just hearing briefly as you describe this situation, there may be the possibility that you are attempting to access Schoology using a generic Schoology URL like Schoology.com, and Henrico has a specific URL just with Schoology for Henrico. So it may be possible that it's that issue, and when you were signing in to Schoology using those email addresses, it's confused because you are signing into a generic Schoology. So one thing to check would be that you are going to henrico.schoology.com. And in fact, if you can get into Clever, Clever would automatically log you in. And the same thing goes for Clever. Clever, we have a Henrico specific URL. So you couldn't just search Clever on the internet and go to the Clever site and enter the information. It needs to be the Henrico URL. So that's it's clever/in/Henrico would take you there. Now, I do believe on many of our devices, when we open up the internet browser, those preload. I'm not totally sure about that on the iPad, but the information that we have on the Henrico site under our learning support does have those specific URLs and the step-by-step process that may help get you in the totally right place. So that would be my first look. And if that's not working out and you do feel like you're in the correct URLs for Henrico specific applications,
the next step I'm in there Clever.
Okay. The next step may be to take that to one of our help sites to really identify the specifics there. And I can only say over this call would be to continue to go back to those step-by-step resources and just double check the entry of URLs and applications one more time, and then we can take that to one of the help stations and have someone else, one of our technicians, possibly look at your particular situation.
Okay, I might have to do that. And then the last thing is PowerSchool is not allowing me to link both students. And I've talked to the school, I've talked to the help desk, even they walked me through it, and it's just saying that my kindergartner's student number is invalid, and I've confirmed it with like 15 different people. And I didn't know if there was a solution to that, or should I just take both devices up there and see if someone can help me?
This is Melanie German. I support PowerSchool. I'm sorry you're having that issue. I do not want to discuss personal identifying information in this forum, but I'd be more than willing for you to email me directly, after this call. My email is magerman, that's MAGERMAN, at henrico.k12.va.us, and I'll be happy to communicate with you privately regarding your student number.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
I would, Miss Patterson, I just want to jump in, and this is for everybody else as well. What John said is spot on, but I'm wondering too, before you do that you clear your cache and cookies in your Google Chrome browser so that it's not holding on to information and inadvertently you're going to the right place, but then it's kicking you back to some place, that you have already been. So make sure you're clearing your cache and cookies in whatever browser you're using before you try the new links.
That makes sense. I never thought about it.
Yeah, that clears up a lot of mismatches.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys.
And sorry I mispronounced your name earlier, Devin. I want to do better than that, so I appreciate you setting
It's all
me
good,
straight.
man. Thank you.
All right. Kathy Moeller is up next. Kathy, are you with us? If so, you can unmute yourself and let us know what your question is.
Hi.
Is that you, Kathy?
Yeah. I'm using my grandma's computer because we got the email, but on the actual school computer that I have, there was no code or anything to get onto this meeting, so we just used the link from the email that my grandma got.
That is exactly how that was supposed to work. So you've made it. That's fantastic. Are you trying to get someplace else as well?
Well, no, what I'm wondering is for future school meetings, is it going to be an email, or are we supposed to use our school computer?
Awesome question. I can start to answer that. I know John can chime in as well. So this meeting, while it's taking place on Microsoft Teams, will be a different experience than your typical day-to-day actions with your teachers and with your school. So since I'm not a teacher, I don't have the same access to Schoology that a teacher does. So my ability to communicate with the general public is through email and social media. But for day-to-day school functions, you can expect to receive communication directly from your teacher. And in most, if not all examples, and this is where John, I think, can pick up, that's going to unfold directly in Schoology. So in a general sense, your links to class will not be in some email that you get from Henrico County Public Schools. It should take place right there in the Schoology platform itself. John, take it away if I didn't quite answer everything to that question.
Yeah, I think you did a great job, Andy. And just to walk through the instructional side of this, students would log into their device, and from their device, they will. I'm going to wait 1 second, Andy. Okay, there we go. I think we're good. Students are going to log into their device, and from their device, they're going to open a browser and go to Clever, which is sort of their virtual ID badge that tells the computer who they are. And from Clever, they can go to many applications, but primarily they're going to be going to Schoology, which is our virtual classrooms. And within Schoology, they'll find their courses. And when they click on a course, right at the top of the course, this is in general, and most of our schools are following something very similar to this. They're going to have the link for the Microsoft Teams meeting right at the top of that course. And that's an important distinction from sending them in emails or other places, because only the students who are associated with that course are going to have access to that link. And so our teacher and our students can feel comfortable that they're going to be in the midst of their classmates and their teachers only. So that is an important distinction. Again, as we addressed earlier, some of those links may not be up in the actual Schoology courses right now, as the teachers may be reserving those links so that students don't click on them and enter a space in which they would be waiting in a lobby until the first day. Some schools are doing some practices, so you may see some links in there. But that's going to be that normal sort of everyday flow of log on, go to Clever, go to Schoology, pick your course, and you'll find a Microsoft Teams meeting link right in that course. Right up top for you in an obvious spot, so we can make it as seamless as possible.
And I will say you're so welcome. We are glad to be able to help you out with that. And this particular link, the link for this meeting, only works for this meeting. So after today, you can forget about the link that you used to get into this meeting. It'll no longer be useful. It was specifically designed just for the help chats. All right, I have the initials MH from a short while ago. Does someone meeting the initials of MH have a question? If so, unmute yourself and we'd be delighted to listen. All right, we'll come back to that. Joel, if you're here, you can unmute yourself, and Joel, we would be happy to hear your question.
I don't really have a question.
Is that you, Joel?
I don't know if I'm the person. Maybe there's another Joel somewhere.
That's all right. You're on now, so it's all you, my friend.
I don't really have any questions.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about while we're here? Well, we hope you are excited and getting ready for the start of virtual learning, which begins on September 8th. I do want to point out, just before we get to, it might be Keisha, I think, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. If you are watching this meeting with the chat window open as well, if you have access to that, there's kind of a separate line of communication going on where I see several members of the communications team are answering some questions and sharing some links too. So that might actually be a faster way to get a question if you just need to know, like, what link do I click on to do this, that, or the other thing. We have some folks who are running kind of a simultaneous dialogue in the chat window as well. If I'm pronouncing it correctly, is it Keisha?
K-I-S-H-A?
Hi. K-E-E-C-H-A?
Yeah, this is me.
Did I pronounce your name correctly?
You did. You're like the first one. Let me stop. Most people do, but most people say it the way it's spelled. So.
All right. Well, what's your question? I'm glad you're here.
Yes, thank you. So my question is pretty much similar to another person that already asked. I have a kindergarten, so very new. we have the iPad. I have the username, the password, and the student ID that was given with the iPad. However, when I go into the links like Clever, I choose the school, and then after that, I put in her username, the full name. And when I get to the next step, it does not recognize the password. So I cannot get into Clever, Schoology, or any of that. The only link that I have been able to access is Power School, and I'm able to see her information from there. So I'm having trouble basically.
Yeah, let me, again, a lot of this is kind of troubleshooting and going through a process of elimination. And let me start with Margaret. Margaret, is this sounding like it's a password reset issue, or maybe there's more to it than that?
I'm honestly not too sure. This is another kindergartner having issues, so I can do some checking and get back with people. But unfortunately, I'm not familiar with how Clever works, is accessed on the iPad. John might be more familiar with it than I am, but really the password should work when it's entered. But I will check into that. Yep.
Well, Keisha, let's talk through it one more time just to make sure we're getting you pointed in the right direction. So you have the iPad. It's connected to the internet. You can turn it on. You're doing everything right so far. It's just that at the first available opportunity to enter a username and a password, that's the dead end. Is that right?
That's right. So the first thing I see is log in with the Active Directory. I actually looked at the tutorial. It said choose your school. I chose the school. I put in the username, the full name. It doesn't work. So then I eliminate the Herenko part of it and just put in her username by itself. And it went to the password. And after that, when I put in her password, it doesn't go no further. So I can't access it, and she's going to be looking lost on Tuesday. And I don't want that.
Yeah. Well, we want to
Andy,
get that fixed.
Can I
John,
jump in
go
here,
ahead.
Andy? Yeah, thank you. So something that you said is making me a little curious. Typically, the typical experience, you shouldn't have to choose a school. And so that is definitely sort of piquing my interest, and maybe that's where we're running into an issue. So when you are I'm going to speak in general, and again, we can do much like we could share an email address and connect to try to deal with a specific thing. But I'm just speaking in generals here. In general, when you go to clever/in/Henrico, that's going to take you to our Henrico specific page for Clever. And in there, it should ask you to click enter with Active Directory, and it should not ask for a specific school. So that definitely makes me curious about maybe there's just something that's not totally aligned. So if you don't mind, if you would check that URL and make sure that it's the Clever URL that has Henrico in it, and when you click Active Directory, it should then ask for the username and password. And it should not ask for a school. So hopefully we can identify where we're just branching off a little bit from the norm there and be able to remedy this.
Yeah, that's a good one. What I'm saying is when I'm at the home screen, it automatically gives you a C icon, which is the Clever. So when I click on that, the next thing states Clever badges require camera access. I don't allow that. I just log in with username and password. So I clicked on that. The first thing that I see, yeah.
Excellent. This is a little bit like, putting together the clues. So it sounds like you're working on an iPad. Am I correct?
It is, yes.
Okay, so here are the steps. We have the steps all laid out on the Henrico County site under the Mission Forward page, and there's a link for virtual learning that has full instructions. But you are intuitively using the iPad, which is great, but we actually have slightly different instructions. In this case, we want our students and our parents supporting them to access Clever via the browser. So it sounds like you're using the app, and it would be better to use the browser. So you would go find Safari on the iPad, open Safari, and type in the URL for Clever. When you do that and you click Active Directory, it's going to take you to the Henrico information. When you are using the app, which again is very intuitive, it kind of makes sense. Why wouldn't I use the app? The app is actually taking you to the generic Clever account that's like international, and it's not the specific one for our division. So go to the browser, and we are recommending on the iPad to use the browser for Clever and Schoology. The experience on Safari is vastly superior on the iPad through the browser than the individual apps. Both of those products have not developed their apps to the level that they have the browser version. So in that case, we want to use the browser. And those instructions are laid out on that virtual learning page under devices, a step-by-step of how to go to different things. If I don't want to be long here, Andy, but one other important detail is Microsoft Teams is the one exception to the browser thing. Teams is the opposite. Their application on the iPad is vastly superior to their browser app because the app has the power to handle all those video streams. So the steps are, I'll review them quickly, but you can go follow them completely from our webpage, is a student would open the iPad, because there's actually no log on to the iPad. They just open it. They would go to the Teams app the first time and sign into the Teams app, because that Teams app is a powerful, robust app that can handle all the video streaming. Then they're going to close the Teams app or minimize it, open the browser, and they're going to access Clever and Schoology on a day-to-day basis. From Schoology, when they click a Teams meeting, it's actually going to open up that Teams app in the background. So it's a little bit of using the best features on the iPad for each of those products. And for Clever and Schoology, the best version is in the browser, which is Safari. And for Teams, the best version is the app. But for our students, once they get into that process, it's going to feel pretty seamless, especially on the iPad, because all the applications work really well together. But again, all these steps are step-by-step laid out on that virtual learning page that we talked about in those help chat videos.
Just before you move on, two things. Can you give me the Clever address that I can type in the browser?
Definitely. I'm going to go make sure I give you the exact correct address, and we can put that also in the chat on the side so everybody else has that. So I'm going to open up our browser here, and I'm just looking to make sure I give you the word for word. All right. 1 second.
John, isn't it the case that while the web address that you're putting in is obviously helpful, Clever is also built into our platforms as well, so you should be able to click into it directly from the HCPS platforms?
Yes, that's mostly correct, Andy, in that on our laptops and our Chromebooks, I am very confident that when you open Chrome, those two windows automatically open. And if you hit the home icon, I am not so sure about if that is the fact on the iPad. I can check on an iPad when we open the browser, does Clever open? I believe that's something that in our instructions, we ask the student or with the parent support to manually enter and bookmark. So it's something that they can get back to easily. But I think we have to manually enter it one time.
Yeah,
all right, and I'll go ahead and I'll speak the URL, and then I will add it in the chat. So the URL is Clever, CLEVER, period, com, so clever.com, C-O-M, /in/Henrico. So I'll say it again, clever.com/in/Henrico. And we'll post that in the chat, but it is also on our support materials on our website.
And to John's point from earlier, yeah, I was envisioning the elementary school and the middle and high school experience when you're opening up those devices, not necessarily the iPad. So I appreciate the clarification there. That was Patricia, right? So I think next on my list, and I apologize if I mispronounced this name, but is it Talben? Did I get that right? Does that sound something close to being correct? Talben?
Hello?
Yes, if that's you, you are on the program. What's your question? And first of all, did I pronounce your name correctly? Well, if you're still there, yes, sir. You are there. Do you hear me? All right, we'll come back. Is it Samantha? Samantha, are you here? And if so, please feel free to unmute yourself, and we'd love to hear your question.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Pawan Singh. I think you are just looking for me. I thought like somebody else has asked the question.
Go ahead. What's your question?
Actually, what happened that in the Chromebook, which has been given by the school, my son is able to log into the Microsoft Team using the Clever, but the application wise is not working. Means like, is that the right? Is everybody's having the same issue? Or just wanted to check. I'm on this. Is the right way of using it Microsoft, or we have to use with the browser only?
All right. One important note. Let's make sure all of our microphones are muted so we can hear the questions clearly. And let me reset where we were. This is on a Chromebook, correct? Did I hear that part correctly? All right, well, I think this might be up John's alley a little bit. It's about we're successfully logged into the Chromebook, but reaching a dead end when it comes to some of the apps. I feel like I heard bits and pieces of the question.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, the Chromebook which has been given from the school, my son is able to log into the Microsoft Team using Clever, but with application it is not working. The Microsoft Team application.
Okay. So once you're in Microsoft Teams, it becomes an issue.
I mean, same user ID and password is not working on with the application.
Hey, hi, this is Altaf. I have the same issue. I have tested. Through mobile also it is working, and in the browser it is working, but not in the Teams application.
Okay, so in the Teams application, I'm sorry, Andy, I'm just going to jump right in. The Android app that's on the Chromebook that should be pinned to the taskbar does require you to put in your whole username, not just the HCPS dash username, because you're logging in to Microsoft if you're getting that prompt. And then, so I'm actually, again, visual, so I'm pulling up stuff, but you put in your whole username at henricostudents.org, and it will prompt you again, possibly for your password. It's done it both ways in my testing on the Chromebook, but I do know you have to put the entire username to get into it. Again, if it's still not working, the recommendation right now on the Chromebook is to sign. So you sign out of the Chromebook, and then you click on the user icon of the profile that's going to show up, and I'm using my hands and nobody can see me. You click on the user icon that's showing up, and there's going to be a little arrow to the right. And then you're going to click on that arrow, and it says remove profile. And you're going to remove the profile, and then you're going to sign in with a fresh profile and let Teams reinstall, and all the other extensions and apps that come with it. And that should hopefully clear it up. Again, I've made a note to find out where how we're gonna share these instructions. So, but I do know that's the process. The entire username, like you do at the login, and then you it should continue. And there are 3 things you have to click through: next, and then you're into Teams. I hope
All
that's
right. I want to thank you, Margaret, for also noting this to address it for other folks. I want to make a note just about time. We have 3 sessions today. This is the 10 o'clock session. We also have a 2 o'clock session and a 6 o'clock session, all 3 of which are being recorded so that we can post them later for folks to watch. I have about 5 folks in line who have indicated they have a question. I'm going to try to reach at least those 5. But then we're going to start to be a little bit mindful of time, take a break, and then you're welcome, if your schedule permits, to join us for the 2 o'clock or the 6 o'clock session. Samantha, let's try you again. Samantha, are you with us?
Hello?
Samantha, if that's you, please go ahead. What's your question? All right, I will move on to Sonia. Sonia Wiggins. Sonia, if you're still with us, you can unmute yourself, and we'd love to hear your question. Sonia? All right. maybe these questions got answered. John, Jon. John, if you're there, we'll turn to you next if you want to unmute yourself and ask your question. I'm looking for John. How about Maya? Maya. Is Maya there? If so, Maya can unmute, and we'd love to hear the question.
Excuse me?
Yes.
I'm not finding the hand icon on my, when I go to more actions. I'm not finding it.
John, I wonder, are you using, before we get to John, who did I just hear from, by the way? Who is that?
Oh, this is Kavya.
Hi, Kavya. You are using a Chromebook, correct?
No, I'm using I think it's a Dell laptop. We got it last year.
I think I can help her on this one. I think I can help her.
Who is that?
My name's Kanai. I've been helping people in the chat.
Okay. Jump right in there. This is all about people helping other people.
So, hello. I was gonna type to you. What I see, I hope that you see. There's a record that says Jeffrey K. Quillen. If you click on it, then there's your turn off camera, then there's your mute, then there's only organizers, then there's more actions, and then for me, I get to raise your hand. I'm raising my hand now.
Yeah.
And
I have to raise my hand.
you see the three dots.
I see the three dots, but the hand raise option is there.
It's not there. So do you have the chat right next to the dot?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
well,
a lot of people in the chat are saying that they don't have it either.
So what type, because that might be a problem, what type do you have?
I have a school laptop that we got last year, so I don't have a Chromebook.
You don't have a Chromebook. Well, I have a Dell.
Same.
And okay, so
well, let me jump in there real quick. Kanai, I recognize you from earlier in the week. You were there with the student town hall, weren't you?
Yep.
Excellent. It is lovely to see you again. Kanai, where do you go to school? Remind me.
Quioccasin.
Kanai, you go to Quioccasin? Kavya, where do you go to school?
Last year.
I go to Sharput Middle School.
I love people helping other people. It's really, really lovely to see. Do any of our panelists have any ideas other than what's already been discussed about why Kavya isn't quite seeing the hand icon on her laptop? Is this an app versus browser issue or something different?
That was actually what I was going to ask, which one Kavya was using. Was she using the browser version or are you using the installed desktop app?
I think I'm using the app.
So when you go down to your search area on next to the start menu and type in Teams for me, please.
All right. So
down in the search down in the search bar.
So I've seen Microsoft Teams. I have the app. So yeah, that's what I'm using right now.
That's what you're using right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm not quite sure. So tell me which version you're using. If you can do that by clicking on your face icon. I don't know how else to say it, but where you're logged in, face icon, and you can say, hover over about, and it will tell you what version. And also something to remember, if you're signed in as a guest, you will not have the same privileges as an HCPS account. And I see that Kavya is also signed in as a guest, where I'm sorry, Ms. Kanya is, I hope I said that correctly. She is signed in with her HCPS credentials. So that's one of the differences there too. So Kavya is signed in as a guest, and you need to be using your HCPS credentials to access the Teams, because your permission set is going to be different than an actual HCPS user. Does that help?
Like I would make an account and then I would.
No. You would not make an account. You're going to use your HCPS account. So if you're not using you should be using your assigned laptop, and then so you're logging in with your HCPS credentials on the laptop, and then it should be passing those credentials in the Teams app through.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and if you're prompted to sign in, you just type in your HCPS credentials and your password, and then you're going to be signed in as an HCPS user.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Awesome. Yeah, I can certainly see the difference between logging in as your student credentials and logging in as a guest. I'm glad Margaret spotted that. I've got about 4 or 5 new names, and we still have time to get through these. But again, I do have my eye on the clock because some folks need to take a break, and then we come back at 2 o'clock and again 6 o'clock this evening. Lila Holden, Lila, if you're here, you can unmute yourself, and we'd love to hear your question.
Hello?
Is that you, Lila?
Yeah, so I'm signed in as HCPS and I still don't have the raise hand feature.
And I can certainly see that you are indeed signed in as HCPS. So talk us through a little bit more with what you're seeing. You're on a laptop or a Chromebook, I guess?
Yeah, I'm on Dell. And I have like the more actions button, like the 3 dots, and then a chat, and then show participants.
But you don't have, beside the 3 dots, like for example, if your computer looks like mine, and again, we're not using the exact same machine, but I have the 3 dots as well, and next to the 3 dots, right there in front of my face, would be the hand icon, but you're not seeing that on your screen.
No.
What happens when you click on
All right, what do we think? What's our panel think might be going on here?
So Andy, this sounds like it could be another one we want to make sure both the Chromebook and the Dell laptops in secondary are Dells. So we want to clarify if we're talking about a Chromebook here or a Dell Latitude laptop. And then we want to ask, are we using the browser or are we using the desktop app? So that'll help us understand a little bit better what we're looking at.
Hello, I have a question.
So Lila, what can you tell us about the machine? And it might be easier to just ask, are you middle school, high school, elementary school?
I'm middle school.
So this would be a laptop. And then the question that John was asking is, can you tell if you're using the app version or using the internet browser version?
App.
Okay,
John,
so
does that, oh, Margaret, go ahead.
well, I would like to, so I'm working with one of my guys to find out what version they should be on. So the app updates in the background by itself. So you can also force it to update by going to, I can share my screen real quick if everybody,
sure,
because somebody mentioned in the chat that might be helpful. So it's taking a long time to load. You can go up to taking forever to load. You can go up to your icon face.
Wait,
and then you can go, it should be up on your top right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, you click on your icon face, and then you can check the version, and it'll pop up the version or pull down the version. It'll show it right at the top of the chat window. And the version that we want to have is 1, and I can put this in the chat as well. 1.3 should be the version that you have. Is that the version that you're seeing?
Yes, it says I have Microsoft Teams version 1.3.
.00.21
759.
759. So that should be the one that you have. So it might be a permissioning thing. So, I mean, we can look at it and see what's going on. But I put in the chat the version that is the latest version.
Also, yeah, that's the same as mine.
Okay, so we'll have to do some researching. So thank you for bringing this to our attention. We'll do some research and we'll troubleshoot and hopefully have a result. Yes, ma'am.
And also, there's also in the settings it says new. There's a newest version of it, and it says allow that. I have to look at it and show you, but there's it's where you go to your icon and for settings, and it says turn on new meeting experience. So that might be, I don't know, but that worked for me, and I didn't have the hand button, but I think that might have worked. So I'm just saying that if you go on, you're gonna have to restart it. It does tell you how to restart it. Your Microsoft Teams, it does tell you how to restart that. So that might work.
Thanks, Kanaya. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And excuse me.
Yes, who is that?
Yeah, this is Kavya again. I was just saying, I was able to get the raise your hand icon because what I did, I X'd out of the call, and then I was signed in as a guest, but then I signed in with my HCPS account. So then I was able to get all of the other icons.
Kavya,
Excellent. Yeah.
high five. Boom. Nice. All right.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
All right. Yeah, we still got time. I'm going to work my way down the list. I want to respect the folks who have waited for me to call
Wait,
on
can
them.
can I ask one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
Okay. Is there a way to like, so I can only see like 9 people right now. I can only see their 9 faces. Is there like, how do I see everybody else?
The 9 faces is what I can. The 9 faces is what I see too. There was a question earlier about the gallery view. Who from our panel addressed that the first time? I don't remember, but maybe we can just briefly summarize the gallery view option.
I think that when you have like 9 people, I think that's the gallery view actually.
So there might be a lot of people who are on and they have their face on, but there might be too much. So it might cut off, and some other people might not have their camera on. That might also be. I'm just putting my 2 cents. I'm sorry, but it's just, I thought of that too. I was like, why is there many people? There's so many people, but some people might not have their camera on. Some people might be in the gallery.
Yep.
I am.
There
Margaret,
are
go ahead.
there are some features that are in preview that I can see and under the 3 dots. And so those are things that there's a large gallery view, and that's in preview, and a couple other things. So to Tanya's point, sorry, I know I mispronounced it again. It's showing the last 9 people that have joined or people that are talking. And so that's what's going to pop up as in that view.
All right.
Maybe
I've got a list that I want to try to squeeze in a few more folks. Marlo, I have you on my list. Marlo, if you're still with us, you're welcome to unmute yourself, and we'd love to hear your question.
Excuse me.
Is that Marlo?
Mr. Jenks, I have a question.
Yes.
This is Nicole Webb. I just wanted to make sure I was still on your list.
You are. You know what, Nicole? You're right. We've got to come back to you because I remember you from the very beginning of the chat. So, Nicole, how can we help you?
Okay, so let me start off with there's so many different complications because when I first showed up on the chat, I showed up upside down compared to everybody else. So let me just start there. I have a daughter who's going in the 2nd grade. And originally her teacher for next year or this upcoming year showed up on the Clever under teachers. That teacher is now gone. There's another teacher that I don't even recognize, maybe not even at her school. She attended summer school over the summer and had a teacher from, I want to tell you, a Richmond City Public School, and she used that. So wherever my daughter's teacher is, I have no idea. I've tried to contact the school, I've tried to contact the teacher, and excuse me, they either can't fix it, don't know how to fix it. And my concern is the first day of school is coming up and she can't even attend class.
So if I'm understanding this, what school are you affiliated with?
7 Pines.
So your daughter is enrolled at Seven Pines Elementary School, but at the moment, the teacher she was supposed to have moved to another school system.
No, the teacher that she's supposed to have at Seven Pines is not even showing up on her Clever teacher page. She's not even showing up. Because
John,
and I know she has her listed in the class because I've talked to her during
Okay.
parent-teacher conference.
So, John, does this? I have two ideas on this. It sounds like this should be resolved directly between you and the teacher who you know how to reach. But, John, is this also potentially an issue where the class content isn't populated into Schoology in the first place, or it could be something else entirely?
Yeah, Andy, in the run up to the first day of school, there are all kinds of bits and pieces that are still being moved around on the table. And this could be an example of where the systems haven't caught up to something that was changed at the school. When it comes to Clever and Schoology, both of those programs, those applications are synced every single night in the middle of the night with the latest information. And so each day they should reflect the most current information from the previous day. And with the amount of movement that happens every year, and especially with this year, of students in and out of teachers' classes, we see this a lot at secondary, multiple classes, that we anticipate that this happens a lot. It's one of the reasons why we typically don't open up visual access to Schoology and Clever until the first day of school, so our families and students don't see this day-to-day, very typical reshuffling and balancing of things. But in this unique case, we decided to open up Schoology today and tomorrow a little early so that we could have students and families practice and feel comfortable for a really successful first day. So it is quite possible that the reason that this is happening and the views on the technology and the applications don't mirror the message we're hearing from the school is because there's always a little bit of a lag in that information being updated. Of course, it could be something outside of that, but we have typically seen the information takes a little time to catch up on some of our applications, and hopefully we can remedy that. Of course, contacting the school is always an option. I understand that the schools are busy, and so patience we'd ask for there. And again, if it's something that's a specific issue, we can look to try to address that with you, get your email address, and work with you through it. But I'm hoping that the systems will catch up and it'll all be correct by the next day when something is settled.
Well, if I could provide you with my email address, because the other portion to that is that her classroom is actually going to meet tonight so that she can meet her teacher and her other classmates, and she won't be able to do that. So could I provide you with my email address?
I'll defer to Andy as long as that's okay, or maybe we can provide ours and then we can have you reach out to us so we don't put
John,
that necessarily in the public.
Yeah, like our email addresses
I
are
have a
public.
question,
So
please.
one second, John, why don't you put your email address in the chat? All of our email addresses are public information, and we'll ask that you contact John so we don't have to share your personal contact information in front of a crowd. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I can't see the chat. That was one of the other problems that I was having.
All right, John, say your email address out loud.
Excuse me?
1 second, we're just going to get John's email address so we can provide some help here.
Excuse me? Now be quiet for real.
John. Sorry, Andy, catching up with you. Sorry, just a little glitch. My address is JDGREGORI. That's for Jonathan David Grigori. And so the J and the D are my initials, and then Grigori is like Gregory, but with an I on the end. And then all of our email addresses. Yep, JDGREGORI at henrico.k12.va.us. And I will put that in the chat. If you don't see the chat, you may still have the chat. You might have to click on the icon to open.
All right. We're up against it now, and so is it Sarah Robertson? I think I've been looking at you on you're one of the 9 tiles on my screen. And Sarah, if you're still interested in asking a question, you can unmute yourself, and we'd love to hear it. Are you there, Sarah? I am not able to hear you. I can see your mouth moving though.
Yeah, you hear me now?
Well, I'm actually looking for Sarah first. It
Because
appears
I tried to have a question for Jennifer. I don't know, no answer me, you know.
Well, I'm gonna first let me work through my list just to take people in the order in which they signed up. Chase Flunis.
Am I on the list?
I'm gonna
Yes,
go to
I'm
Chase.
Chase. Yes, I'm Chase.
Chase, you're in.
Yes.
What's your question?
So I was able to take his user. So Chase is my son. I was able to take him to delete his profile. We're having the gallery issue with the Microsoft Teams, and reload it. And now I'm able to see the gallery, but only the 9 tiles. Is there a way to see the more 9 than 9? Because I'm not finding that ... button.
I said
Okay.
this before.
No,
I
I'm
believe
trying-
on the Android app, you have the 9 views. That's as big as that one goes.
Oh, so is there a way to see his entire class when he's?
Well,
Yes.
what you can do, you can click on
Hang on a
participants
second, Mario.
at the top, and it will show you the list of who's attending, but not necessarily scroll through all of the videos, like all the different.
Yeah, is that something that but then the web version won't let you show any of the gallery? Is that correct?
Correct. The web version is a single video coming in, and ideally it's the teacher's face that's coming in. But yes, ma'am, you would not have a gallery at this time in the web version. I believe it's on their roadmap, but they haven't released a date as to when it will be possible.
Okay. Do you know if it's on the roadmap for the app to have like an entire class?
No, ma'am. I can find out though, but I'm not sure. It's an Android app, so we are asking questions for sure.
So then with the iPad for my other student, will he be able to see his entire class on the app?
I am not sure about that. I think so. I think it has a grid view. Let me research it and I'll get back to you. Okay?
Yeah, Mark, it's
and I
my
understand what we're
understanding. Sorry, Andy. It's my understanding that yes, there'll be a grid. Now, each of these programs have limitations. So, entire class, the programs are updating to include more and more in the grid. Right now, I would suspect that it would be something like we're seeing 9 or 16. So that may not equate to the entire class, but the ability to see other students in a grid, the iPad, I believe, has that function and is working right now.
Okay. I think that's all my questions, but thank y'all very much for this. This was very helpful to hear y'all's answers and everybody else's.
Thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate that. Sarah, I understand we've got you. Sarah, let's go back to you for just a second. What's your question?
So Chase?
I think so. I think I heard you. Yes.
Alrighty. So first of all, how do you log on to Schoology on your phone? And I've tried once before, but it didn't work. The only way I could do it is if I logged into my mom's, but I couldn't submit anything.
So, Andy, I'll go quick on this one if you'd like, so we can move forward. We always recommend on an Apple device like an iPad or iPhone to use the web browser. The browser version of Schoology is much better than the app. And if you're using Android phone, I would recommend using a browser on the phone as well, and then going to the Henrico specific URL and signing in, and you'll have that browser experience, which will mimic what you see on your computer.
Alrighty. Yeah, I'll have to try that because I have an Android. Me and my mom have an Android. And also, so it's going to be like on Microsoft Teams for all the classes or no?
So I'll take that one again, Andy.
Yeah.
So Microsoft Teams is the primary platform that we're using for our virtual classes. So you may not be on the same actual link for all of your classes, but you're using the same platform. And we also have Google Meet as a backup in case we have any issues with Microsoft Teams. But primarily our teachers are starting off with Teams and reserving Meet as the backup. So if you have 4 classes in a day, you may have 4 different links, and each of those unique links would be available in your Schoology courses.
Gotcha. And
Awesome.
that's all I had, but thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, Michelle Coe. Michelle, if you're on the line, you can unmute yourself, and we would love to hear your question.
While we're waiting for Michelle, is Kia on the list?
Yes. Kia, go ahead. I was going to get to you at some point, so you're welcome to chime in.
No, I just wanted to know for the children that are transitioning over from elementary to middle school that are in place, what is the approach to the online to make sure that they're meeting their development needs?
All right, so Kia, I'm going to ask you to start over because I feel like I heard about half the question. Let's all make sure our microphones are muted if we're not talking. Kia, if you would, please, I'm sorry, if you would just repeat that one more time.
Absolutely. For those children that are transitioning over from elementary to middle that is currently on a plan, just wanted to know what the approach is to make sure that they're not impacted by the online learning.
And by plan, you mean an IEP?
Yes.
I do think, Kia, unfortunately, that question is a bit outside the scope of what we're prepared to discuss here and what our panelists are knowledgeable about. I can give you a short version of that, and that I would remain in close contact with your IEP team at your school for specific questions about your student. I feel very confident that our entire exceptional education team and most relevantly, the IEP team for your student will do everything possible to make sure that your student is served to the best possible ability, even under the virtual circumstances. But I wish we could do better for you in this particular forum, but this was more geared toward our technological platforms and logging into devices. So I wish I had more for you, but I think a pretty good recommendation is to stay in touch with your IEP team for any specific concerns or questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you.
Shelly Branch. Shelly, if you're on the line, Shelly, we'd love to hear your question. You can unmute yourself, and I'm looking for Shelly.
Hey Andy, my name is Shubhadeep Das. Am I in your list?
I am not sure, but you got my attention, so let's hear your question.
Okay, so basically, the HCPS, the Schoology link which is provided in the HCPS. So when I click that link, I am able to log in, okay, in the Schoology. But when I log in through Clever, I see the link Henrico Schoology, and that did not let me to log into the Schoology.
All right, Andy, I'll jump in if that's
Go ahead, John.
So if you have access to Clever, and when I say you have access, I would be guessing you're using your student's credentials to log in support of your student. From Clever, when we click that Schoology button, if we are successfully logged in as the student in Clever, the anticipated behavior is that Schoology would automatically open and be logged in. So that seems to be a bit of a quirk. In that case, if you're able to log into Henrico Schoology's URL independently, you could continue to use that access. And I would recommend, Margaret has said a few times that clearing the cache and browsing history sometimes helps fix some things that get stuck. And in Chrome, that's, we won't specifically get into details, but something along the line of going to the settings and history, and you'll find a section on clearing the cache. That may help you in that case. But hopefully, if you get into Clever as the student, it should automatically take you to Schoology as a student.
Okay, yeah, that I'm getting. And I can see, I could see my son's teacher and everything. So, okay. So basically just one more clarification, when I'm logging in Clever, I'm using my kid's email ID I found in PowerSchool. and I'm using the same password which is provided in the Power School. Okay, and that way I'm logging in. I'm seeing all the things, except like when I'm trying to get into, in Schoology, that is not letting me to. So, and my question is like, should I use the user ID or the my user ID for the Clever?
If this is for academic work for the student, then we're going to use the student's IDs to access username and information access.
Yeah.
The parent accounts that we have a parent account for Power School, which gives you access to grades and records and even some information needed to then create a Schoology parent account, and you can connect to your student. But none of that's used for academic use other than reviewing grades. We want to use our students' information when we're signing them into Clever, Schoology, and Teams for their learning.
Okay, sounds good. So I'll try to clear the cache of the browser and try again. Thank you.
All right, we're going to do lightning round now. Lightning round. Let's do this quick. Caden, Baron, Caden, lightning round. Caden, are you there?
Hello, I'm Maya.
Maya, you've got my attention. Maya, you're up in the lightning round portion of this meeting. So what's your question?
So when I was like signing into Clever, this thing popped up that I should put my username and password in. I did that a few times. I tried different ones, but it didn't work, and I'm not sure why. It didn't let me like go into Clever, and then I clicked cancel like 3 times, and then it let me in. But I think it's not supposed to be like that.
Did you use, so what password did you use? Like, did you use your school password?
Yeah.
Is this your, okay, so
Well,
is this,
I
Well,
think,
what's our
sorry to
panel
interrupt.
think of this? Yeah.
So does it say in the pop-up that comes up, it says it has a number, HCPS at, and then that's what the window looks like, correct?
It's like, no, it's just like this like little box popping up in the like at the top. It says sign in, and then under it just says password. Well, like username and then like password.
So
what device are you using?
A Chromebook from my
Okay.
from school.
Yeah, so you're exactly right. That pop-up is actually coming from our content filtering company, and we believe we're researching that as well. We believe that the extension is loading before everything has settled down. And so if you continue to hit cancel, like I've seen it on my test Chromebook as well. If you hit cancel and make it go away, it will eventually load the tabs. I've also where I hit cancel, I close my browser window, and I relaunch my Chrome browser on the Chromebook, and functionality is there. But I will say, yes, we are researching that with our vendor to get that to settle down. So
All right.
it's challenging because
Hello.
it's inconsistent.
I need to go to
Like
Ryan.
at school, it popped up, and like it worked though. Like I put my username and password, and it worked, but now it doesn't.
Well, if it's the one that I'm thinking of, and it has the proxy one from iBoss, you just hit cancel. You don't need to put anything. You don't need to put anything in there. If something, and again, because you're on a Chromebook, it's a big, huge browser. Make sure you're clearing your cache and cookies so it's not holding on to bad data.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna.
I have one quick question.
Hello?
I would like to go down my list, and I want to give Ryan Laramie the chance to chime in. Ryan, I have that name on my list, and if Ryan is still with us, I would love for Ryan to unmute the microphone, and we'll hear your question.
I guess.
Is Ryan there?
Hello?
Where do I fall on this list?
I'm able to take one more question, and then we're going to have to hit pause on this discussion and come back at 2 o'clock and again 6 o'clock this evening.
I can help people in the chat.
Do I fall on this list?
Who's that voice?
Vashon, Mom.
You're in. Let's hear your question.
Okay, he conveniently forgot his password to get into his laptop.
Is this
I've
Miss Tiffany?
the help desk, and I understand that they're swamped, but you really need to get more manpower.
Absolutely. Great question, though, to wrap us up with. Is there someone on our panel who can just say a word about password resets?
Is this Miss Tiffany? The one
No.
I've been talking to?
So I do understand that there is a high volume coming into the help desk, and they are handling password resets as quickly as possible. I will share that once they reset that password for you and they give you the password, you are going to have to go to a local school, the closest location that has an HCPS network. It does not have to be your home school. It can be the closest elementary school, central office learning center. You just need to be connected to an HCPS network. You put in the new password that they give you, and then you should be prompted to do another reset and reset the password. And then, but I do know that yes, there's a high volume of questions coming in to reset
Will I
password.
get a response quicker by going up there or waiting for them to email me back?
The people at the repair hubs are not doing password resets. So the help desk is manning the password resets.
Okay.
Andy, can I jump in here real quick as well?
Absolutely.
Available right now on the Parent Power School portal is access to the username and the password for every student. So Margaret talked about a reset, which does cause some other things to go into play. But if Melanie is still on the call, she may be able to quickly highlight that that's an additional feature that's on the Parent Power School portal. A parent gets into there and they have immediate access to the username and password without having to reach out to the help desk at all. So that would be the first best option. Melanie, are you still on here to talk a little bit about that?
I'm trying to get into the laptop itself.
Right,
I
John.
believe-
I am here. I would like to say for the elementary schools, the password is available in the parent portal on the student account access page. For secondary students, we do not have the password available in Power School portal because it's managed by the student. So the quickest, best way is going to be to submit a help desk ticket for that. I'm a part of that team manning the help desk at this time. We were added in as additional tech support. So if you would like to email me directly, my email is magerman@henrico.k12.va.us, and I will reset the password and then send you directions, as Margaret indicated, as far as going to the school and connecting to the network and then allowing all of that process to take place.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
We have hit about the 94-minute mark, and what I'd like to do is we're going to hit pause on this conversation for now. I am so appreciative of everyone who took time out of their Thursday to be with us here in this meeting. Also want to thank our panelists, John, Melanie, Margaret, and we're going to have those folks again with us throughout the day. We'll be back on Microsoft Teams at 2 o'clock this afternoon and 6 o'clock this evening. You're welcome to join us at both of those occasions, and you can always go to our website to review some of the videos in case those videos answer your questions in a quicker manner. That's henricoschools.us/return to school, henricoschools.us/return to school. Then you just look for the box that says HCPS Help Chats. For now, thank you all so much for being with us. Hope to see some of you again at 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock this evening. Take care.